All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to nearly 70%. Over 15,35,000 people recovered so far. Week-long lockdown extended in Andaman and Nicobar Islands from today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi advocates for extensive use of innovative technologies for improving weather forecast and warning systems. BJP-led coalition government in Manipur wins trust vote. And Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab resigns following public outrage over major blast in Beirut last week. India's COVID-19 cases crossed the 22 lakh mark with 62,064 new cases. Health Ministry said the death toll climbed to 44,386 with 1,007 more deaths. The recovery surged to 15,35,743 with a record 54,859 more people recuperating in the past 24 hours. This has taken the recovery rate to 69.33%. The case fatality rate has dropped to about 2%. The total number of affected people has reached 22,15,074, including 44,386 deaths. There are 6,34,945 active cases of the coronavirus. The Health Ministry today said that the Expert Committee on Vaccine Administration under the chairmanship of Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul will meet tomorrow to consider logistics and ethical aspects of procurement and administration of COVID-19 vaccine. The committee will engage with all the stakeholders, including state governments and vaccine manufacturers. A three-member central team has visited Telangana and reviewed the COVID-19 management in the state. Headed by Niti Aayog member Dr. Vinod Kumar Paul, the team asked the state government to step up testing for coronavirus and also made a presentation on how Delhi model led to better results in containing the spread of the virus. Telangana reported over 80,000 COVID-19 cases and 637 deaths so far due to COVID and other comorbidities. Dr. Paul later said the state and central governments will work on the action plan discussed in the meeting to flatten the curve. In view of the sudden increase in the number of positive cases in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the Union Territory Administration has now decided to extend the lockdown outside containment zones for a week beginning from midnight today. Yesterday, the Chief Secretary Chetan B. Sanghi informed about the update through one of his tweets, and later all three district authorities issued the order for extension of the lockdown. However, ration shops, medical stores, vegetable, fish and meat shops along with petrol pumps are allowed to open. Banks and ATM will remain open. Details from our correspondent.
In Nicobar district, permission of the concerned assistant commissioner is required before opening of any shop. All government offices except providing essential services will remain closed. All religious places will be kept closed for general public. Passengers coming from mainland will be tested and they have to go for institutional quarantine for 7 days. In Nicobar district, all passengers will go for home quarantine for 14 days. Passenger going in travel area will undergo RT-PCR test. On Andaman Trunk Road, cargo drivers are only allowed to go once they tested negative for COVID-19. Gaurav Patwal, AIN News, Port Blair.
Delhi recorded 707 fresh coronavirus cases yesterday, taking the city's tally to over 1.46 lakh. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal asserted that with a current recovery rate of over 90%, people of the city are slowly and steadily defeating COVID-19. He said only 7% cases are active. The number of tests conducted yesterday stood at 12,323. 20 fatalities have been recorded in the last 24 hours. With this, the death toll from the COVID-19 mounted to 4,131. In Uttar Pradesh, the state government has decided to appoint special secretary rank officers to assist district magistrates in 7 districts. These officers will help district magistrates in better management of health services and to stop the spread of coronavirus pandemic. The government will also increase the number of COVID beds in the state. More from our correspondent.
Special Secretary rank officers will be appointed in Lucknow, Kanpur, Varanasi, Prayagraj, Gorakhpur, Bahraich and Bareilly. These are the districts where corona infection is on rise. These 7 districts have almost half of the total COVID patients in the state, with the state capital Lucknow having highest number of cases. Chief Minister has directed for increase in number of beds in premier health institutions like SGPGI, Ram Manohar Lohia Institute and KGMU. Meanwhile, yesterday 4,197 new COVID cases surfaced in the state and 51 people lost their lives due to the deadly virus, taking the total number of deaths till date to 2,120. The total number of active cases in the state is right now 47,878, with 76,724 people discharged after treatment. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Madhya Pradesh, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to around 39,891 after 866 new cases reported in the past 24 hours. With 19 patients succumbing to the infection during the day, the death toll rose to 1,015.
As per the State Health Bulletin, 654 coronavirus patients were discharged from the hospitals yesterday, taking the number of recovered cases in the state to 29,674. There are 9,202 active cases in Madhya Pradesh. On the other hand, a sero survey will be started from today to detect the development of antibodies in citizens in view of the corona infection in worst affected Indore. Divisional Commissioner Dr. Pawan Sharma informed that in the next few days, the target of sero survey of 7,000 people has been set in the urban limits of Indore.
एरिया में इंदौर में उदाहरण पेश किया है कि जो लोकल लोग हैं वो सपोर्ट करते हैं। एक टीम पर 80 से लेके 90-94 तक के सैंपल है। 5-7 दिन के अंदर हम अपना पूरा काम कंप्लीट कर लेंगे।
The purpose of the sero survey is to find out what percentage of people in the city has developed herd immunity. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Gujarat, 1,138 COVID-19 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. According to the official sources, the recovery rate in the state has gone up to 76.64%. More from our correspondent.
1,056 new patients of COVID-19 recorded in Gujarat yesterday. Total cases of COVID-19 in the state have gone up to 72,120. Out of 14,170 active cases in the state, the conditions of 76 patients are serious. At the other end, the number of total patients recovered from COVID-19 in the state has gone up to 55,276. 20 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state up to 2,674. More than 10,17,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 29,604 tests have been carried out yesterday. Door-to-door surveillance and mass screening will be launched in the new areas from today. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In West Bengal, 3,208 corona patients were discharged from hospitals after recovery during the last 24 hours. It was the highest number of recoveries in a single day. With this, over 70,000 such patients have been released from hospitals so far. The rate of recovery has improved to over 71%. According to the State Health Department, 2,905 people were found infected by the virus, taking the total number of affected people to 98,459. In Tamil Nadu, the total caseload of COVID-19 infection has crossed the 3 lakh mark. With 5,914 people tested positive yesterday, the total count has gone up to 3,02,815. However, the number of recovered people has also surged to over 2,44,000.
An estimate by the Tamil Nadu Agriculture Department says the kuruvai cultivation in the Kaveri Delta region is being made at 3.87 lakh acres this time. The crop season is equivalent to the Kharif season nationwide. The coverage of the paddy cultivation this year is over a lakh acres more as compared to the season last year. In the whole state this year so far, 28 lakh metric tons of paddy has been procured from the farmers as against the average figure of 23 lakh metric tons in the previous years. It shows paddy cultivation remains unhindered by the prevailing pandemic situation. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Karnataka, 4,267 new COVID-19 cases were registered yesterday, taking the tally to 1,82,354. In all, 5,218 COVID patients were cured and discharged from various hospitals, and the total number of recovered people have gone up to 99,126. So far, 114 COVID patients lost their lives, and the total number of fatality has increased to 3,312. More from our correspondent.
As per the State Health Bulletin, 79,908 COVID patients are taking treatment in various hospitals in the state. Among them, 681 patients are in ICU. 22,620 swab samples were tested yesterday, and the total number of tests have gone up to 17,29,067. The state recovery rate is 54.36%, and the mortality rate is 1.82%. Meanwhile, the Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa discharged from the Manipur hospital in Bengaluru yesterday, where he was admitted on August 2nd after testing positive for the novel coronavirus. Currently, the Chief Minister is in self-quarantine. R. Murthy, AER News, Bengaluru.
In Meghalaya, 53 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday, including 39 from West Garo Hills district, taking the total active cases to 611. 8 COVID-19 patients also recovered, taking the total recovery number to 498. So far, the state has registered a total of 1,115 COVID-19 cases, out of which 611 are active, 498 recovered, and 6 deceased.
Nagaland crossed 3,000 mark after 230 fresh cases of COVID-19 were reported yesterday. This is the highest single-day spike of positive cases in the state so far. With this, the state's tally has climbed to 3,011, while 69 patients recovered in the day. Health and Family Welfare Minister S. Pangyu Phom in a tweet said, contact tracing is fully put in force and all primary contacts are kept under isolation to avoid further transmission. Participating in our live phone-in program on COVID-19, Dr. Rajinder K. Dhamija, Head of Neurology Department at Lady Hardinge Medical College, said coronavirus infection can affect other parts of the body, such as heart and brain.
It is not just cough, fever and breathlessness. It is much more than that. And इसका जो एक कॉमन फैक्टर है, वायरस जो है वो ACE2 रिसेप्टर्स हैं हमारे, उनमें जाके अटैक करता है. ये जो रिसेप्टर्स हैं, ये फेफड़ों में हैं, हमारे हार्ट में हैं, ब्रेन में हैं, ब्लड वेसल्स जो खून का दौरा लेके जाती हैं ब्रेन तक या बाकी शरीर के, उनके ऊपर भी हैं. वहां पे जाके जब वायरस सर्कुलेट करता है, उससे छोटे-छोटे हमारे क्लॉट बनते हैं, वो हार्ट में जाके हार्ट अटैक करते हैं, ब्रेन में जाके स्ट्रोक करते हैं, किडनी में जाके क्लॉट बनता है.
In our series, Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of some leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Amarchand Bajaj, Senior Consultant at the Sitaram Bhartiya Institute of Science and Research in New Delhi, highlighted the importance of hygiene and how to maintain it to contain novel coronavirus.
जब तक हमारे पास इनकी ट्रीटमेंट वैक्सीन या मेडिसिन के रूप में ना निकले, तब तक हमें जो प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स है वो फॉलो करने हैं. जहाँ जरूरत ना हो उसमें घर से बिल्कुल बाहर ना निकले, कोशिश करें कम से कम बाहर निकलना है. और जबकि निकलना भी पड़ा घर से बाहर, तो कोशिश करें कि जहाँ आप 2 लोग खड़े हैं, करीब 2 मीटर दूर खड़े रहें, नहीं तो कम से कम 1 मीटर दूर खड़े रहें.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to nearly 70%. Over 15,35,000 people recovered so far. Week-long lockdown extended in Andaman and Nicobar Islands from today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi advocates for extensive use of innovative technologies for improving weather forecast and warning systems. BJP-led coalition government in Manipur wins trust vote. And Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab resigns following public outrage over major blast in Beirut last week. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized on better coordination between all central and state agencies to have a permanent system for forecasting of floods. He also advocated for extensive use of innovative technologies for improving forecast and warning system. Mr. Modi held a meeting with Chief Ministers of Assam, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Kerala through video conference to review their preparedness to deal with southwest monsoon and current flood situation in the country. He said over the past few years, forecasting agencies like India Meteorological Department and Central Water Commission have been making concerted efforts to make better and more usable flood forecasts. They are trying to provide not only rainfall and river level forecast, but also location-specific forecast of inundation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated the 2,300-kilometer submarine optical fiber cable network between Chennai and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Mr. Modi said this project is the Union government's commitment for ease of living. Saying this project will boost tourism in the islands, the Prime Minister expressed happiness over the completion of the project before the deadline. The Prime Minister asserted that the Indian Ocean has been the centre of India's trade and strategic prowess for thousands of years, and that Andaman and Nicobar is an important centre for India's economic strategic cooperation. He said all the islands of India would be playing an important role under India's new trade strategy for Indo-Pacific region. Mr. Modi said under the Act East policy, the role of Andaman and Nicobar in India's strong relations with East Asian countries and other countries connected to the sea is very high and is going to increase.
अब जब भारत इंडो पैसिफिक में व्यापार, कारोबार और सहयोग की नई नीति और रीति पर चल रहा है, तब अंडमान निकोबार सहित हमारे तमाम द्वीपों का महत्व और अधिक बढ़ गया है। एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी के तहत पूर्वी एशियाई देशों और समंदर से जुड़े दूसरे देशों के साथ भारत के मजबूत होते रिश्तों में अंडमान निकोबार की भूमिका बहुत अधिक है और ये निरंतर बढ़ने वाली है।
This cable project is running 2,313 km undersea between Chennai and Port Blair at the cost of 1,224 crore rupees. This will boost digital services like tele-education, telehealth, e-governance services and tourism in the island.
Communication Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said government will provide mobile connectivity in villages located in strategic and border areas. Talking to reporters in New Delhi yesterday, he said central government has been taking measures on priority to provide connectivity in the far-flung, difficult border areas of strategic importance so as to ensure better quality of life to people as well as to those who are working in these areas. Mr. Prasad spoke about various projects being implemented by the Department of Telecommunications to provide connectivity in remote and difficult areas. He informed that a tender for 354 uncovered villages in the strategic, remote and border areas of the country has been finalized and is under implementation in 144 villages of the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh and remaining villages in the states of Bihar, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and other priority areas of Gujarat. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has launched the initiatives of a number of modernization and upgradation of facilities along with new infrastructure creation by Defence Public Sector Undertakings DPSUs and Ordnance Factory Board OFP through Digital Link in New Delhi. It was part of the Atmanirbhar Week celebration of the Ministry of Defence. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Singh recalled Prime Minister Narendra Modi's clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and his 5I formula of intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure and innovation, which will put the economy on high growth trajectory.
हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी का आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान का जो विजन है, इस पैंडेमिक के कठिन समय में भी न केवल इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ के लिहाज से महत्वपूर्ण है, बल्कि उससे कहीं अधिक हमारे आत्मविश्वास को एक बढ़ाने वाला यह विजन है। यदि हम भारत को आगामी कुछ ही वर्षों के अंदर दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमीज में लाकर यदि खड़ा करना चाहते हैं, तो बैसाखी का सहारा लेकर हम भारत को दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमीज में लाकर किसी भी सूरत में खड़ा नहीं कर सकते।
The minister also said government has made timely and thoughtful interventions during COVID-19 times like issuing negative list for import, increase in FDI limits, separate budget for domestic capital procurement and emphasis on indigenization.
In Manipur, the N. Biren Singh-led government won the trust vote during one-day state assembly session yesterday. The BJP-led coalition headed by Chief Minister Singh won the confidence vote by a margin of 12 votes in the House. 8 opposition Congress MLAs skipped the session, defying the party whip. The 60-member House has an effective strength of 53, including Speaker Y. Khemchand. The Congress had submitted a notice of no confidence motion against the government on the 28th of July. Days later, the state government submitted a notice to the Speaker for a trust vote. The political instability in Rajasthan over the last month seems to be coming to an end now. Former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot and his supporter MLAs expressed his satisfaction over the meeting held in New Delhi with the top leadership of Congress. Interacting with the media in New Delhi last night, Mr. Pilot said that he and his supporters had some issues with the organization and the government that they wanted to highlight. He said that these were theoretical issues which have been placed on the party's forum. Mr. Pilot said that a 3-member committee constituted by the party chief would address their issues.
हम लोगों के सरकार के और संगठन के कई सारे ऐसे मुद्दे थे जिसको हम रेखांकित करना चाहते थे और मैंने जो इशू उठाया था, चाहे वो देशद्रोह का मुकदमा एसओजी वाला हो या हमें काम करने का जो तरीका था, उसमें जो आपत्तियां थी, उन सब के बारे में हमने बताया और मैंने शुरू से इस बात को कहा कि जो मुद्दे हैं वो सैद्धांतिक हैं और मुझे लगता था कि पार्टी के हित में उन बातों को उठाना बहुत जरूरी था.
Earlier in the evening, rebel MLA of Congress Bhanwar Lal Sharma returned to Jaipur and met Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. After the meeting, he told that the state government is safe and will complete its 5-year term. A report.
The political crisis in the state started when notices were served by SOG to Sachin Pilot and other MLAs for questioning under the sedition section in the case of alleged horse trading in the state. Mr. Pilot then moved to Delhi with 18 supporter MLAs and it was claimed that the Gehlot government is in minority. On August 4, SOG removed this section and closed the case. In a period of 1 month, there were many divergences in the state's politics and the case of power struggle reached the court many times. During this period, the MLAs who were supporters of Chief Minister Gehlot camped in the hotel. Now allies are on the session of State Assembly, which is going to start on August 14. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In the Union Territory of Ladakh, Leh has taken steps towards a roadmap for sustainable development. Yesterday, Leh launched mass public consultation campaign for the Leh Vision Document 2030. More details from our correspondent.
An 8-member strategic planning committee headed by the former Chief Secretary of Jammu and Kashmir and Vice Chancellor of University of Ladakh, Sri Funsok, has prepared a draft report of Leh Vision 2030. Speaking on the occasion, Sri Funsok said keeping the change of course, the report would be flexible. Themes like happiness, ecological sensitivity, compassion for all given thrust in the document. With the consultation of public on the document, a final implementable Leh vision will be finalized. Ladakh MP Jameng Sering Namgyal appealed the committee to consider the views of remotest villagers also in the vision to make it comprehensive. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
In the run-up to the 74th Independence Day celebrations, we bring you today a special story about the several initiatives for urban development. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is implementing several schemes in urban areas to improve facilities and better living for citizens. In the last 5 years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government has launched various schemes including Smart Cities Mission, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation and Housing for All in urban areas. Talking to AIR News, Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Dr. Rajiv Kumar spoke about the benefits of Smart Cities Mission and the work being done under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban.
पिछले कुछ सालों में बहुत ज्यादा इसमें फोकस रहा है और सबसे बड़ा फोकस है 100 स्मार्ट सिटीज को 100 स्मार्ट शहरों को बनाने का, जो कि जब जैसे जैसे बनेंगे तो वो हमें एक नई ऊर्जा प्रदान करेंगे हमारे विकास के लिए और ये पूरे देश में क्योंकि फैले होंगे तो हर क्षेत्र को इसका फायदा होगा। तो और दूसरी जो बहुत बड़ी चीज इस मंत्रालय ने करी है वो है जो हमारा स्लम रिहेबिलिटेशन, मतलब स्लम मुक्त भारत की ओर कदम बढ़ाने की जो बात की है वो भी एक बड़ा कदम है। और आखिर में जो प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना है जो अर्बन के लिए, जो कि शहरी क्षेत्रों के लिए ठीक से याद नहीं मगर काफी बहुत बड़ी तादाद में नए मकानों का निर्माण हुआ है।
In Bihar, the flood situation continues to be grim in flood-affected areas of the state. The flood water has entered new areas of Siwan and Madhya. Surging water of Gandak and Kosi spread out in fresh areas after the river continues flowing at above danger mark in their courses. Over 75 lakh people of 16 districts spread over 1,240 panchayats are reeling under the impact of flood. The Meteorological Department has corrected its forecast of heavy to very heavy rainfall to only heavy rainfall at isolated places in Maharashtra. In its earlier forecast, the department had predicted that southwest monsoon would become active again from Monday and that Mumbai and parts of Maharashtra will receive heavy rainfall at isolated places. President Ram Nath Kovind today congratulated Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu on completing 3 years as Vice President of India. In a letter, Mr. Kovind said, as Vice President, Mr. Naidu has already emerged as an inspiration for posterity to learn from his ability to transform a mix of wisdom, energy and spirited enthusiasm into creative solutions for sustained nation building.
Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab has resigned from his post in the wake of major blast in Beirut that has triggered public outrage. In a brief televised speech after 3 of his ministers resigned, Mr. Diab said he was taking a step back so he could stand with the people and fight the battle for change alongside them. The Prime Minister's resignation follows a weekend of anti-government protests after the August 4 explosion in Beirut's port that decimated the facility and caused widespread destruction, killing 160 people and injuring about 6,000 more. Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, has impressed upon the need to put in concerted efforts to check the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Detailing about the essential elements to address the #COVID-19 pandemic effectively, Dr. Tedros said,
there are 2 essential elements to addressing the pandemic effectively. Leaders must step up to take action and citizens need to embrace new measures. If we suppress the virus effectively, we can safely open up societies.
Now let us take a look at today's weather update. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 33 degrees. The city is likely to experience thunderstorm with rain today. Srinagar is likely to have partly cloudy sky and also witness thunderstorm with rain. Minimum temperature was recorded at 19 degrees Celsius, while maximum is around 32 degrees. Ladakh will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 16 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the region will experience partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. In Muzaffarabad, there will be partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Chandigarh will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the city was 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees. The national capital, Delhi, witnessed minimum temperature of 24 degrees Celsius. Maximum temperature is expected to be around 34 degrees Celsius, with generally cloudy sky and moderate rain.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. The top headline in Hindustan Times writes on the India data on COVID-19, 62% cases but only 13% fatalities among those below 45 years. The Economic Times cites increased demand for groceries lifts household consumption to 2 years high. Pranab tests positive, flooded with get well soon, reports the Pioneer, adding the ex-president was admitted for brain surgery. Ahead of induction, Rafale busy with practice sorties, informs the Times of India. The Statesman writes about an IIT Mandi scientist making a vital breakthrough that will help in finding a cure for the coronavirus disease. Reporting about the bureaucrat turned politician Shah Faisal, the Indian Express writes, in custody for a year, Shah Faisal quits politics. And finally, the Hindu notes the increase in demand of the Postal Department's new service of delivering money home, with the postman acting as a human ATM turning out to be a big hit countrywide under the headline, When the Postman Rings with Cash.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to nearly 70%. Over 15,35,000 people recovered so far. Week-long lockdown extended in Andaman and Nicobar Islands from today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi advocates for extensive use of innovative technologies for improving weather forecast and warning systems. BJP-led coalition government in Manipur wins trust vote. And Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab resigns following public outrage over major blast in Beirut last week. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.